Welcome back to the SPL. Finch here, joined by Taco, and we are moving into another very, very critical set here in the North American region. It's going to be Space Station up against CLG, and if they didn't feel pressure for this set before, well, after watching what Splice just did, they certainly do now.
That's exactly what I just wanted to bring up, Finch. Just look at the standings right now. United with that hideous one loss in their column now, courtesy of Splice.
Oh,
but
man.
Splice moving on up in the standings there, 6-2 now in comparison to Space Station's 5-3. Space Station have to find this set victory.
They absolutely do. It's going to be very difficult for them to try and catch back up. It's going to require Splice to at least take one more loss, which they could certainly give them when they end up playing again, but they got to get this win here first. But Tuck, if you want to make fun of the one loss, you can have E90 tweeting at you maybe. I ain't going out that way. Not over here for me.
You gotta admit, it looks ugly now.
It was a nice, pretty 0 before, but Splice come in and add a blemish, one small blemish onto a very strong fall split. But let's go into this Space Station versus CLG set, because what a big one it is. Space Station have so much on the line in getting this win. This is how they're going to be able to try and catch back up with Splice, who have kind of tried to take their number 2 spot away from them. And they've had some changes. Yes, they got Venenu in the mid lane now. They got to make those adjustments. Really, for my money, my eyes are on him in this set.
On Venenu, I think I'd have to agree with you, because in a lot of the sets that Space Station has played with Ben since the roster swap, Venenu has had awesome games for probably 90% of the match, and then 10% of it will be rather questionable decision-making.
Sure.
That at times has even led to some losses there for Space Station, whether it be in the team fights or the game outright.
Yeah.
So it's that consistency that we're really looking for out of Venenu. I do think that this is a really solid team environment. He's worked really well with andinster since the shift. And I also think that we've been seeing a little bit more activeness from Andy even.
I think he looks better, yeah.
Agreed. I think that Andy and Venenu certainly have a little bit more synergy going than the previous combination of Andy and Baskin. And with that in mind, though, CLG, they're probably certain to try and take some shots over here at Venenu.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy, I would say, for CLG to try and take this game, but that is the task that is before them. They've had some struggles here in this split, and I've talked about this CLG team at length, right? They have so much talent, so how come they don't look better? We thought they would be the third-place team, but right now, that's either Space Station or Splice. You have to go down to 4 before I think you're talking about CLG realistically at this point, but they certainly have a chance to take this game from Space Station.
Even then, with Trifecta coming
That's
into
a good
the mix
point, man.
and Luminosity even having some promising moments of their own, it's just been a challenge. It feels like it's been a nonstop uphill battle for CLG, and Snoopy has probably been the best looking and most consistent member of CLG since the start of the fall split.
Yeah, Snoopy looks strong for them, I would certainly say. But for me, the same way that I said that I look at Venenu on the Space Station, I'm looking at Homie on CLG. You can, and it's likely because he's the jungler, but you can tell very much how well this CLG team is going to do, I think, by how well Homie is playing. He plays a lot of unique things. He doesn't always play exactly the way everyone else does, but when Homie has a good game, it is rare to see CLG lose.
Even in moments where Homie does have good games, though, I think that it doesn't ever feel like all 5 members of CLG are always having their best games and putting their best foot forward. It seems like it'll be, 2 or 3 members having really fantastic performances, but then the other teammates are just struggling too much for CLG to actually be able to bring home the victories.
Let's see if they can get all 5 teams firing on all 5 cylinders all at once up against Space Station. A huge game for the implication here in the North American standings for both of these teams. Space Station need the win, and not just the win, but they want to keep their plus-minus looking nice as well. A 2-0 certainly would not hurt them here, and CLG would be happy to get a win any way they could find it in this set up against Space Station, as Athena taken off the board right away by the first pick.
And I don't fault Space Station in the slightest for that. I'm wondering if they are going to end up going for this Baron. I haven't exactly been the biggest fan of seeing Jeff on the Baron. I actually prefer him whenever he's on the actual Guardians, and maybe tossing Aquarius the Baron selection could bode very well for Space Station here, but I definitely want to see them look to prioritize something else other than Jeff's pick in the first couple of bans.
Pele comes out with that second ban. I was just wondering if we'd see it get taken away as here in North America it seems to be getting valued a little bit more than in Europe. Scream certainly putting on some excellent performances for it, so the rest of North America are responding. But Spacestation going to grab the Freya for themselves first overall. Very strong pick right now, but that does mean the likes of Serqet and, as you mentioned, Baron are certainly still out there. Morrigan has been highly valued as well. We'll see what ends up getting prioritized here by CLG as Baron comes out.
CLG wastes no time at all in picking up that Baron either, and this is a very flexible pick for the
Mercury
team to consider. So I think that going for the Baron first is probably the best way to go about it for CLG. Gives them a chance to see which direction Space Station want to continue with the rest of their draft, whether they're going to prioritize their carries or look to see if they can get their front line online. And speaking of carries, Space Station hoping to get a good carry going with that Serqet. I like this Serqet to clash with the Mercury.
Absolutely. Those two have been battling in the jungle now for a while. I feel like some of our top two junglers, when Pele's not available and Naja having dropped a little bit lately. They also bring in the Terra. Now, I think this is likely to go over to JeffHindla, but not guaranteed. We sometimes see Terras slide over to the solo lane. Not as much from Aqua. He's been playing a lot more just traditional solo laners over there, but certainly still some flexibility there as CLG brings out the Janus as their third pick.
Which is leading me to believe that this might be a Baron for fineokay instead. Yeah. We have seen quite a lot of prevalence for him on this Baron selection. I also really like the Janus, though, for Hurriwind. I think that strong disengage is ideal for him in the mid lane, especially with how aggressive that we've been seeing Venenu playing as of late.
That could be nice for him. Just have a little bit extra safety to try and get away from that pressure in the middle lane as Houyi comes out as well. Now they'll have a little bit more AoE in their teamfight via that ultimate. Houyi can be very strong boxing as well in lane. But Sun Wukong comes out, very likely for Aquarius. As I said, the more likely that we're seeing him a more of a traditional solo laner. Sun Wukong certainly can be that. And then the Hachiman to pair with it.
And that's just a Hachiman. It's kind of nice when the scraps left over from Hunters is going to be the Hachiman.
It's a Hachiman,
a rather safe pick choice selection here too, and complements the Freya nicely. You've got that mounted archery to kind of slow everybody down, or just look for the execution on finishing off kills in team fights. But Freya can do a little bit better, I think, knowing that the other hyper carry with the Hachiman is going to be able to kind of offer some distraction features against CLG.
Well, who do you think is going to win this game? Let us know in the Mixer poll once you have a moment. But Taco, don't both these teams seem maybe a little bit light on control, or at least easily applied? It feels like a lot more pressure placed on the likes of the Banish is coming out from Freya, right, on their side, on Sylvanus to find good pulls.
I think Space Station definitely have a lot more crowd control than CLG currently. Because
it's light on
CLG's
CLG for sure.
control is mostly coming off of their ultimates, their team fighting ultimates, as opposed to Space Station, where you've got the Wukong, Terra, Serqet. All of those guys have very strong and repeated CC factors that can come into play.
Well, we'll see if they can get the most out of this. A lot of pressure going to be on JeffHindla for his squad. A lot of pressure in the jungle with this Mercury for CLG and Homie if they can execute there as well. But let's get into the action. The all-important game between Space Station and CLG. Casters, take it away.
Thank you, Finch and Taco. Agro and Anatoly on the call for Space Station versus CLG. Is that a misbuy by Ven? He has Assassin's Blessing.
Oh.
That completely derailed my opening.
A little bit.
I feel like that's gotta be a misbuy.
Let's put it this way. As long as andinster is on the opposite side of the map, it's not a misbuy. Because Venenu should be able to clear those left side mid harpies while andinster gets the rights, maybe grab some oracles while he's at it. Who knows?
We'll see. It's him and BaRRaCCuDDa starting together in the mid lane. That opens up this easy invade on the left-hand side for Snoopy and Jigz. 84% of you voting for the black and gold to bring this one home for Space Station. This feels like two teams that have said, I don't care what everyone else is picking. We're just going to pick what we think we're good at. And it just so happens that these are all good picks at the same time, but this is a very clearly CLG composition. I mean, Jigz on Sylvanus, Snoopy on Houyi, Hurry's on his Janus, fineokay's playing a utility god in solo. Like, this is peak performance CLG via the draft. But Space Station, you can kind of say the same thing. Andy's playing a disruptive gank tool. Barrett's playing a safe hunter. Jeff's playing a teamfight guardian. Like, this is both of these teams, and I'm excited to see how it turns out, which style will end up on top.
I don't disagree with you here, Agro. A little bit of a different style between the supports in terms of the upgraded sprint from Jeff, whereas Jigz opting to go for that upgraded shell. A little worried about some of the basic attacks that Venenu can throw out, some of the basic attacks from andinster that will pop the Serqet passive you always got to worry about. So different mindset there, and always a different mindset between these two mid laners, like you pointed out. Hurriwind rushing the Book of Thoth instead of the Assassin's Blessing.
I do like the upgraded shell. Definitely good for Jigz. I think it's excellent against Freya, who wants to set you up with Banish and then 2-1 you as you're falling down. If you have a support that'll shell you at the right time, you won't have to worry about that quite as much. Good double root from Jigz. Don't know if he has the pull up, but I do know that he's got the level advantage in this lane. What was the point of that start from SSG to put BaRRa in the mid?
Well, we've seen it actually before in previous seasons where you would have your Hunter with your mid laner to get pressured mid to invade the red buff, and that's exactly what happened. They didn't want to fight into CLG's Sylvanus Hou-Yi combination, knowing that they can't stop any sort of invades, so they go for the counter invade and come out successful. Venenu able to grab his own red while Snoopy invaded SSG's red.
But it looks like the duo lane from Counter Logic is just ahead right now. I mean, BaRRa and Jeff are the bottom two in XP per minute. The mid lane is ahead for Hurriwind. What benefit did SSG get?
So
not by much is BaRRaCCuDDa behind. Just now clearing out that wave, grabbing his own purple buff is going to put him back into the laning phase. The only person that got really hit hard by it was JeffHindla, if anybody. And at the end of the day, that's all fine and dandy to leave Jeff behind. As long as he hits level 5, he's still going to make those Terra plays.
Spoken like a true Spacestation Gaming member to say, oh, Jeff's behind? Yeah, that's fine.
It's normal.
That's
it's standard stuff.
That's what we're going for here. Actually, that's ideal. If we can get ahead and put Jeff behind simultaneously, then I can't think of a better outcome.
Because honestly, if they started off normal start, they would have been even further behind because they would have had to juggle between defending their own buffs and losing potentially minions under their own tower.
andinster looking for Hurriwind. Beads used on both sides, but Hurry getting low. andinster, though, tossed underneath the tier 1 tower, but Homie can't quite finish it off. So close to first blood in multiple different ways. Maybe on the left-hand side,
the stuff
we can
from
get a blind.
BaRRaCCuDDa.
Snoopy still manages to find the first blood. We thought it'd be in mid, but we got the timing just about right. It's just the duo lane for CLG gets it done.
How poetic would it be if BaRRaCCuDDa saved JeffHindla?
Yep. That's
He
so
tried.
close.
He put it out there throughout the Jitsu to find the stun, but too many ticks from the wisps out of Jigz.
Snoopy accurate. Did use the purification beads to make sure he could snake around BaRRaCCuDDa and find that last auto attack. So CLG off to a pretty good start. Did cost them a couple relics across the board. Hurry's beads now down, though now with level 5 has through space and time available. Snoopy lost his. Doesn't get CC immunity from his ultimate. But andinster also had to use his beads.
That's right, but using the sprint was JeffHindla trying to survive. If he had the shell instead, maybe he would have survived just long enough to get under the safety of his tier 1 tower.
It was close. In fact, we got a replay for you of that first blood coming out of the duo lane from Snoopy. Weren't quite level 5, but Jigz must have pulled him back in.
Oh, yeah.
At this point. Great pull from Jigz, sets it up. I love when we get a chance to see those replays, man. Otherwise, we would have been like, oh, Snoopy's so sick. Snoopy's still sick, of course. But that was all. That was Jigz, man.
Snoopy squeezed in a basic attack that BaRRaCCuDDa tried to intercept at the last second. So there was still a little bit of hope for JeffHindla, but BaRRa not able to intercept it.
Jigz sets it up. The Assassin's Blessings for the junglers doing pretty well thus far.
Good bait.
30+ stacks. fineokay's ultimate down. That's exactly what SSG was hunting for. Whereas Venenu's Assassin's Blessing still sitting at just 17.
I mean,
so do you think this was a misbuy, or do you think this was actually part of the play?
I mean, look at this. andinster's ganking solo lane while Venenu's soloing the Oracle. So clearly this is intended.
Homiefe ult on this left-hand side. Jeff the target again. Jigz actually gets credit for his hard work this time around, but Homie's the one who set that one up. Sonic Boom coming from underneath the tower. If you haven't played against Mercury lately, that's going to happen to you an awful lot. That's the signature Merc gank coming down the lane.
Ooh, a little bit of pressure onto fineokay. Gets the slow off as well. Just poking for maybe round 2 later down the road. And 3 ultimates invested to kill a Guardian. What else is new for JeffHindla? Very unfortunate as he fell to Jigz the second time. But dying to Snoopy.
Oh, man. Andy round the back finds both with the Cobra's Kiss. Not quite enough. Valkyrie's Discretion finishes off Homie. Then able to dunk him from the sky, but now he's in some trouble. Good portal from Hurry, but a better Beads and Banish combo from Venenu gets him out of danger. But what a play by andinster coming around Double Cobra's Kiss, one of my favorite things to watch in Smite.
Oh yeah, just riding Homiefe all the way to the tier 1 tower while Venenu finishes off the job from the sky. Great synergy. That's what you really want to see between your double assassin's blessings of your jungler and mid lane.
Exactly. That's it contributed so much in that lane fight right there. It will turn into penetration for Venenu whenever he eventually finishes it, but feels like that's a ways away.
10 penetration, not the best compared to,
Would you
let's
pay
say,
700 gold for 10 pen?
No,
No, neither would I.
definitely not.
But wait, here's a crazy idea. What if you could buy stats in Smite? Has anyone ever thought of that?
Oh. Yeah, I think there's some people that thought of that before.
Really? I don't know. Ven was able to find that nice kill and was just on the edge with the Valkyrie's discretion in the mid lane, but now still working on that Assassin's Blessing.
Needs 18 more stacks to get that 10
close.
penetration.
So close. We're talking a lot about it. We imagine this is going, this was I at least imagine it was intended to be a Hunter's Blessing. They look very similar. Just they arrows pointing different ways. You see Assassins stab you in the back from the top down, whereas Hunters fire into the sky.
Yeah, that's right. The little volley. That's exactly what's going on.
Device to help you out. BaRRa's in some trouble, though, on this left-hand side. No ultimate committed by Snoopy. Mounted archery was still up and ready for BaRRaCCuDDa just in case.
I almost would have liked to see the trading of the ultimates force the mounted archery to come through, especially considering there's no beads from BaRRaCCuDDa for another 20 seconds. Homiefe charging that ultimate in the mid lane. Meanwhile, BaRRaCCuDDa, wow, he's just taking too much damage at this point, considering the stacks favoring Snoopy from that first blood bounty.
Snoopy really controlling that duo lane, and you've heard Taco say it on the desk a lot recently, and I'm inclined to agree. Snoopy has definitely had some highlight performances so far, despite the struggles for CLG as a team. But he's also had his own struggles in their set against Splice. Snoopy did not have a particularly good set. Cyclone really showed up and played very well. And I think that's why CLG was summarily dismissed. fineokay might be dismissed on this right-hand side. Indeed, Aquarius smacks him down with the pole and gets the second kill for Spacestation.
No ultimate again. fineokay's diamond is just not available this time, as Aquarius probably baited that one out with his somersault cloud. And recognizing this, that was a clean gank from andinster. There's no CC immunity without life at the party, so you're guaranteed to hit the last breath whether or not you confirm the Cobra's Kiss.
No rush there for andinster. Jumped in, took a tower shot, no real concern, and as you mentioned, knowing life of the party's down, not too big of a deal. This game, though, certainly a big deal for both of these teams. CLG looking for some much-needed momentum, also want to secure that 4th seed. SSG trying to notch an auto bid. Snoopy off the mark with the ricochet, but red buff invade still goes successfully the way of CLG. And now the pressure's on to Spacestation Gaming after Splice managed to take down E United.
That's true.
In our earlier set.
That's very, very true. Spacestation Gaming at 5-3 now, whereas Splice are at 6-2. So at the very best, Spacestation Gaming can end at 7-3, and at the worst, Splice can finish off at 6-4. So there is still some hope, and keep in mind next week we're going to see Spacestation Gaming up against Splice, and pretty much whoever wins that one should be able to secure that number 2 spot.
It would require SSG win their next game as well, if my memory serves, depending on what Splice does up against Trifecta, who would certainly look to play spoiler. Trifecta's been playing pretty well as of late. Not a guaranteed win for Splice by any stretch of the imagination. Basically, no one is a guaranteed win in North America. Apparently not even for United these days, who have made it look awfully easy, but they dropped their first set. Luminosity looks better after their roster change, moving Gino towards the mid lane, picking up Xbox native inbound for the support role. On the right-hand side, Homie's got to use the beads. andinster looking to find that last auto attack, but can't quite do it. Andy now without a whole lot of movement, but fineokay can't quite get there in time.
Now, a good little escape from Homiefe. Speed buff is coming up as well, so he'll be able to make that rotation momentarily. Hurriwind has been a little quiet with his Janus play. With all this action, the silence, you would think he would throw out some ultimates trying to maybe save out fineokay or at least get some more vision. But now after that one gank from andinster, look how lit up that right side of the map is, right? The blue buff right on top of the fire giant. fineokay trying to play as careful and safe as possible.
They are all on his side of the map, though. There is a little bit of a window, potentially. Homie looks for a window into Ven. Gets some good poke off, but not a whole lot else. So if andinster does come from the bottom side, could have potential gank positioning. Venenu might get pulled right off this. Beads instead. Jigz. That's a timing play. Wanted to get that off before the Valkyrie's Discretion could happen. Ultimately ends up losing the ultimate. But at the end of the day, if you're trading Valkyrie's Discretion for Wrath of Terra, that's still a win for Jigz.
Oh, absolutely. And that was a good play from Venenu, being able to not use his beat, or not have to use his beads, rather, still holding on to that defensive relic. Hurriwind going to use his ultimate, trying to get in position as he hits both Jeff and BaRRaCCuDDa. Jigz looking for the pull. A little off the mark there onto JeffHindla. And without Wrath of Terror, difficult for CLG to really force anything.
Hurriwind's ultimate that time was there, just in case the fight kept going for andinster, but Andy decided to slow it down a little bit. Just gone for the Stone of Binding in the support role. Aurora's been a big fan of this, but he likes to play the very aggressive Artio and Cerberus. Does this really fit on the Terra?
I would say so, yeah. Between the roots, between your basic attacks slowing as well, between the stuns, you got some forms of CC to be able to give your allies that 15 penetration. And knowing that Venenu and BaRRaCCuDDa is certainly going to be hitting whoever gets CC'd from JeffHindla, it's not a bad look.
Another gank on a fineokay. Life of the party is available this time, but he's trying to get in the minions to make sure he doesn't get hit by that last auto attack. Somersault Cloud gets the job done. Fine ends up falling for the second time in 12 minutes, nearly 13. Aquarius notching both kills, and again, it's that low gank path that I was referencing earlier, where there were no wards.
And that was because there's also a sentry ward right above the blue for Spacestation Gaming. So even if fineokay dropped the ward there, we're not able to control that side of the bottom. As a result, the second death now starting to slow things down. But with this Height of the Urchin, you should be a little more resilient in the health department.
This Wukong selection for Aquarius, one we haven't seen quite as much of, but he seems to be a pretty big fan of it. What do you think about Wukong right now? Is he in a pretty good spot in the meta?
I think he's always been solid at the end of the day between his poke potential. Being able to safely poke the backline without fully committing is always a great look with some of the changes that we did to the Master's Will, going from 12 to 10 seconds. The Jingle Band doing more damage to jungle camps and minions helps your lane clear specifically.
Hurriwind teleports right in to the waiting Aquarius, but needed a couple more inches if he wanted to reach Hurriwind there. Hurry able to just escape through the wall. Did cost him beats and ultimate. But andinster doesn't try and chase him down. Instead heads back towards his left-hand side, and he might meet up with Homiefe. Good jukes from Homie. Keeps him away from his former teammate as Jeff has to use his ultimate and the sprint to get away. Mounted archery does good damage to Snoopy. Andy lurking right there alongside Aquarius, but BaRRa's pulled back in underneath the tower. andinster can't cancel the Deathbane in order to get in with that last breath as Aquarius separated. Snoopy does eventually fall as it feels like Space Station is just coming in waves to kill the CLG Hunter.
Just forcing Hurriwind out allows a little bit of a power play for even about 15 seconds. That's all it took. Great ultimate from Homiefe though.
Finds Andy, beads good to get him out of that danger. Space Station's still healthy enough, specifically BaRRa and Ven on this right-hand side. No Valkyrie's Discretion here for Venenu, so he's going to get pulled right in. Beads used. fineokay is going to change targets. BaRRa used the beads right on the stun. Now he's going to try and turn and fight, but fineokay is doing a little bit too much damage. Good stun from Jeff, and BaRRa's able to stand strong and get the kill onto Fine. Homie dashes forward, can't find the auto. EI jutsus away, and Aquarius able to bring down Homie.
BaRRaCCuDDa is just dangling himself in front of CLG like a juicy piece of meat. He held his ground till the last second. As soon as he finally saw the special delivery from Homiefe, he was like, all right, now I got to back off. But he did not worry against fineokay. Absorbed that stun initially, beats it to prevent any sort of real follow-up afterwards, and just put in the DPS.
You're right. That was definitely risky for BaRRaCCuDDa. It's as risky as eating some Greek yogurt that's starting to get a little sour, but he's still willing to put it in and able to do great work there. In fact, let's take a look at the replay right there where BaRRaCCuDDa very, very low in that engagement. Didn't have the dash, used the beads right on time to immune a lot of the damage following up. And great support. Jeff comes in at the perfect time. Stomp, you've heard that one before, and keeps BaRRa up and standing. But Ven also was very low, and just good kiting gets him and BaRRa out of there.
It's just impressive stuff from BaRRaCCuDDa. This is something you expect out of such a veteran hunter. And in a 3-on-1, Snoopy can't survive that one. Earth and Fury had to have been used for that one, but that's a good kill and could allow even Space Station a timing window to get this Gold Fury.
Man, Snoopy had such control of this lane not that long ago, Toli, and then it's back-to-back fights in the duo lane, fighting around BaRRaCCuDDa, and all of a sudden Space Station back up on top, as now they're looking for a little bit more. Jigz provided with an escape route via Hurriwind's portal. Aquarius is on the way onto this left-hand side, with fineokay making his rotation as well. We'll be a little bit behind, but this will be a good time to fight for Fine. Still doesn't have a Hide of the Urchin stack quite yet. He could really use one.
Oh, yeah.
Sitting at 0-3.
He definitely needs some to be able to get that up to 51 protections on both sides after 7 stacks. And you were mentioning how Snoopy was ahead off of the early first blood onto JeffHindla, but even the second kill, which was credited to Jigz, wasn't really enough to stop the efforts from Space Station Gaming to make those plays, because andinster is on a tear. Not too many kills to speak about, but look at those assists.
1-0-5, only missing 1 in the kill participation department. Whereas Aquarius sitting at 3-0, level 18 right now for the Sun Wukong. The right side of the map looking very strong for Space Station. Strong initiation from Jigz, gets a couple big cooldowns out from SSG, namely that Valkyrie's Discretion. Now through space and time comes through, is going to put him in a position. Great beads coming from Venenu, but he's still under siege. Everyone pile in. Homie able to get the final blow, but Venenu had nowhere to run, and now CLG go right towards gold.
Oh yeah, but they don't have through space and time to disengage if JeffHindla can do something about this. Gonna look for the Earth and Fury. Roots in to intercept the stun instead of through his monolith.
CLG get the gold. fineokay able to bring down Jeff as well, and he's hunting Snoopy, as is Aquarius, but Aqua's got to get up into that somersault cloud, and now is just one lone monkey among the rest of the zoo. CLG able to battle back.
Wow.
And get a big kill there onto Ven. It was a near perfect ultimate from Hurriwind.
true.
There's no way Ven can run away from that.
So CLG set up a beautiful trap around their own red buff. It seemed that Space Station would walk away cleanly, but Jigz had other intentions. The Blink Wrath of Terror initially scared Venenu to a point where he had to go up into the sky, was afraid of any follow-up, and then without that ultimate to buy him any sort of safety window, Hurriwind capitalized with a global pressure of his own to catch up to this Freya without Herald.
Space Station cannot afford to lose this set. If they do, they lose control over their own destiny. They would need Trifecta to beat Splice next week and win the head-to-head against Splice as well. But CLG looking to gain some momentum. They're pulling Fire Giant now, but Aqua sniffed it out, is here, and that is enough to send CLG packing.
Yeah, and a 5-on-5. I mean, they do see BaRRaCCuDDa all the way on the left side of the map, so this is why they are actually starting it in the first place, knowing it would take about 25 to 30 seconds for BaRRa to make this rotation in the first place.
I like the idea of CLG baiting as many fights as possible in the jungle, though. I mean, mounted archery gets a little bit worse in the jungle because you can't quite hit the entire lane. Hurriwind able to get right in between. andinster's Cobra's Kiss shots. Snoopy here as well goes and nearly hits for that triple ricochet, and he had the bubble, but it still would have been quite a bit of damage. It's now through space of time fired again, hunting Venenu. This time the portal's not really there. It splits the uprights. Homie has got to try and get in here because Aqua's creating a lot of dissonance on that backside. Snoopy with some pathing question marks, and now he's going to get some help courtesy of Jigz. CLG looking a little bit frazzled here.
What is going on? A lot of discombobulation between the rotations of some of these players. Snoopy barely able to escape that one. I thought Homiefe was about to sonic boom down the mid lane to catch Venenu. That was coming off of his Valkyrie's Discretion. His beads still not available. Jigz in the back line. Great Earth and Fury.
BaRRa getting low, but Aqua's the one who's going to get portaled by Hurriwind on the front side, and he's still nice and healthy. Double whoop from Venenu. Put some good damage into fineokay, but CLG has that sustain courtesy of Jigz' Sylvanus. So they're willing to back it up and just wait for this next engagement, specifically to look towards BaRRaCCuDDa now that he has no beads and no ultimate.
Also a little bit of sustain from fineokay's Baron. Jigz going to pop the Wisps, trying to see how they can enter this tier 1 tower. The rest of Space Station Gaming don't want to give this up. andinster still with his ultimate on the side. He's actually going to commit onto fineokay, but now his bubble gets popped.
Another good portal from Hurriwind. Hurry has that soul gem completed, so plenty of burst damage now for him on this Janus. He's second in the player damage right now. It's been almost, it's seemed a little bit quiet out of Hurry, but he's been putting out a lot of damage. That ultimate that set up the Gold Fury was excellent. He's had a pretty good game so far on this Janus as Space Station goes back to farming up a little bit. But on the backside, Aquarius just insta-killed Snoopy. Snoop no relics, and he goes down very, very quickly through space and time. Can't quite hunt down Jeff. And now it's Spacestation Gaming surging forward. Mounted archery to slow everybody down. Aqua's hunting Homie on that right-hand side, or excuse me, that's andinster, because Aqua's in mid, setting up BaRRaCC for another kill on Jigz. Space Station just watch CLG twiddle their thumbs a bit in the mid lane and kind of get sick of it and show them how it's done.
Just took a little too long to get anything rolling, and Space Station Gaming, you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. CLG not even interested in playing defense after losing Snoopy and Jigz, both of their duo lane members. Losing the red buff going to hurt so much.
Andy's beads a bit late. Good portal coming from Hurriwind as well, but this is a mobile Serqet we're talking about. Sonic Boom could put Homie in position, but Blink is perfectly timed from andinster and gets him out of the danger. I just don't know what CLG was really going for in that spot. You know, I mean, they've got very, very little as far as initiation goes. Jiggs' Blink was down, and that's true. Frankly, their only tool.
That's very, very true. They thought that they could just out-persevere a Space Station at the end of the day using the double sustain between fineokay and Jigz, but when you get caught without your defensive relics as a hunter, that's a bad position to be in.
And I was just saying that I really liked CLG trying to force fights in the jungle because mounted archery gets worse. Yes, everyone's a little bit more grouped for Earth and Fury, but you can very easily use through space and time to really wreak havoc. Sunbreaker becomes better, Ricochet becomes better, and then they become very stubborn and really look for a fight in lane that I don't think favors their composition nearly as much. Whoop is great whether it's in lane or in the jungle. It doesn't really affect it.
And Hurriwind using his ultimate, trying to pick off JeffHindla at the tail end of it. Couldn't really use it for safety, and that's why Jigz fell after the fact. Probably could have avoided at least that one death. But despite all that action, despite Space Station Gaming having 9 kills to CLG's 4, it's pretty much an even game. Only 500 gold separates these two teams.
Been a bit of a back and forth here so far. No massive leads quite yet. I mean, 2,000 gold was the biggest lead of the game. That was CLG's, and with that tier 2 tower push in the mid, that brought SSG right back within striking distance.
It was that first goal fear attempt that gave CLG the lead. They're going for a second one now yet again, sitting at about 50% health. Venenu avoids the pull with a Valkyrie's discretion. Jigz is the target.
fineokay getting low right away. Aqua and Jeff right on top of him, and a good portal provided by Hurriwind. That was through space and time, though. That was necessary to get his team up and out of danger. CLG forced very, very far back. It cost SSG a bunch of ultimates, but they still have 2 remaining, and those are 2 pretty big ones, Last Breath and Mounted Archery. So SSG going to pull the Gold Fury themselves, already down to about half HP. Relics available for both SSG carries. Same can be said for Space Station, but that monolith blocks Homiefe's ultimate. JeffHindla runs Homie right into the monolith, and now Jigz looks likely to fall. Andy on the backside will get him down, and now he's looking for a bit more. Last Breath right on top of Snoopy. Beads from Snoop is there, but fineokay no longer with us. Aqua brings him down, and JeffHindla, are you serious? The monolith block on the Sonic Boom stops CLG right in their tracks.
Jeff the Sex Hindla, no entrance to the Sex House for Homiefe after that one ends, with Space Station Gaming confirming the goal fury. They're going to build themselves a 2,000 goal lead, but man, even the AoE damage after the fact, Venenu was just popping shots left, right, and center.
That was absurd. That shouldn't be legal. You shouldn't be allowed to do that. You can't do it. You can't do a man's like that,
yeah,
Jeff.
You can.
Not like this. Not at the SPL level.
If there's ever going to be a level to do it, and it better be in the SPL level.
My goodness, that was incredible from JeffHindla, and that really sets Space Station Gaming up for some success here. They get some momentum. They head to the Pyromancer now, trying to extend this lead a little bit. All things being said, CLG really don't lose that much off of that. They lose the Gold Fury, they lose a couple kills, but they're still down only about 3K, 25 minutes in. That's not that big of a deal. CLG has most of their relics still up and available. Check out this Cursed Ankh upgraded for JeffHindla. That's a pretty big pickup to try and shut down this Baron and the Sylvanus heals. Homie's thinking about using the ultimate here, but with Andy on that left-hand side, looks unlikely. CLG positioning as if they want to take a fight. I don't know that they know andinster's on that left-hand side yet, but they will right now.
Yeah, and he also walked over the ward right beneath that red buff.
Let's take a look back at JeffHindla's monolith block onto Homiefe there. I got to take another look at that. That was absolutely nuts. Does he react to this? He sees Homiefe right in front of him, and is just kind of playing patient. Here's that active, and yeah, that was purely intentional. He had no intention of ever breaking that. That is absurd.
Oh.
JeffHindla is sick at Smite Game. Good lord.
In the battleground of the gods, Jeff the Sex reigns supreme.
My goodness. That is incredible.
That
okay,
is.
I'm going to stop fanboying now.
No,
I can't
honestly,
get over it.
like, there's so many tools at your disposal for a lot of gods, right? You have Ymir Wall, Thor Wall, Kabrakan Ultimate, Odin Ultimate to be able to stop these dashes. And people forget about the monolith.
Oh, Snoopy, no beads. Does have the Aegis, but gets silenced out actually by the Unchile coming from Jigz, or from andinster, excuse me. Jigz is the one who actually popped it. So Snoopy gets away, no relics used, but that created space for SSG to get themselves another tier 2. Counter Logic seems to have just kind of lost a little bit of the wind out of their sails.
A little bit, and this is discouraging for them because it's not like they are out of the top 2 runnings because it's only between 3 teams now, but that's not to say that they can't get, in the 3rd or 4th position for themselves to get a little bit of a better seeding, but it could be like a LAN just foreshadowing because these teams could potentially face off if Splice get in the top 2, and so it would be Spacestation Gaming against CLG in the placements.
Critical game in week 5 is everything you could hope for as an SPL fan. These last week scenarios where it's going to come down to the final minute, the final games to determine who's going guaranteed to DreamHack Atlanta and who's got to earn their way there via the placement stage. And CLG's trying to earn themselves a Fire Giant. They are full committing right away. Sunbreaker dropped to get it down below half HP. Fire Giant getting lower. Aqua getting in there. BaRRa as well. Space Station!
Are you kidding me?
Rip it away from CLG. Homie gets hit by the ultimate from andinster. He's got to try and disengage, but Aqua has a great angle through space and time. Is the eject button for CLG, but they might want to eject right out of this game after losing that Fire Giant to SSG.
They can't get the ball rolling in any department, even trying to sneak away the Fire Giant. Great knockups out of Aquarius to disrupt some of the DPS, and then I'm pretty sure andinster stole that with his ambush. That's not a very high damaging ability in the slightest.
But it was a lot of damage all converging on the Fire Giant at once. Aqua is all alone, and Homie's going to try and set him up straight into the portal. Good CC chain. Pull there as well, but a little bit of Mantle of Discord action may have just bought Aquarius another life.
The trap! Venenu finds the whoop. The rest of Space Station Gaming is around the corner, but they don't want to force the issue knowing andinster's all the way on the left side of the map.
They do get the ultimate out from Venenu. Good portal and communication there between fineokay and Hurriwind. Blink forward from Jigz. Gets BaRRa knocked up. Now JeffHindla pulled back in. Cursed Onk on all of CLG, so they don't want to heal, but they might not have a choice. Dual lane down for CLG. BaRRa able to get Jigz. And CLG tried to force it before SSG was set.
Okay.
But I think Space Station was ready.
Oh, between a rock and a hard place. This could be game potentially if they can find one more pick off of the middle. Phoenix Siege Fire Giant on 4 members. BaRRaCCuDDa is going to be doing a lot of damage with Venenu.
Aqua's low, and that gives me some pause, but a minion wave is coming, and they've got 20-plus seconds.
Ultimate.
Aqua does have that Somersault Cloud and uses it after Snoopying the Hurriwind too. SSG may have just done it, tightened down to half HP. Hurriwind doing his best to defend alongside longtime teammate Homie, but it's not enough. Space Station take game 1.
Wow, what a performance, honestly. Give credit to where credit is due. JeffHindla around the Gold Fury, and then Aquarius and andinster on the Fire Giant.
Don't ask me who MVP was. Don't do it. Production, don't you dare come in my ear and ask me to tell me to ask who MVP is. I will take this headset off. It's JeffHindla, okay? It's JeffHindla. He's the MVP. It's big plays, and let's just move on from that, okay?
That was very impressive from the Monolith block. I'll get to that. But honestly, without that Fire Giant steal, I don't know if Space Station Gaming end the game that fast.
Sure, but let's say CLG win that fight because Homie gets a big ultimate, and then they get Gold Fury, and then they burn Fire Giant fast enough that there's no steal potential. That's because JeffHindla blocked that ultimate with a Monolith, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Keep it up, Jeff. That's the type of plays I love to see at this level, man. Now it's CLG. He's got to try and find a little bit of momentum back. I do think that CLG looked a little bit better at times during that game, but it's that tier 1 tower siege, if you can even call it that, where they stand around a whole lot I think the shot calling needs to get a little bit better for CLG, and we'll see if their comp can get a little bit better as well. Though I did like that overall. Let's throw it over the desk as we get ready for game 2.
What a big game there for Space Station Gaming, and a couple opportunities I feel like for CLG to try and close that one out, but a couple of times where they end up falling short. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look at that Fire Giant steal that we saw. That one gets away from them. What a big play from Space Station Gaming to be able to grab this one. We'll see exactly what it was that came in and grabbed it. I believe that it was andinster who's able to come in. Let's take a look. He jumps in over the top. It's the ambush that steals it away. That's crazy.
That is soul-crushing kind of steal happening there for CLG. When you get that close to confirming the Fire Giant, a buff that would have very likely ended up delaying this game just a little bit longer for CLG to get things back on track, and instead Space Station just gonna rip that one right out from underneath them. And CLG, the only option they really had remaining was to use that through space in time for the retreat, but by then it was just only a matter of time before Space Station decided to run it down mid and meet up with CLG one more time at their Phoenixes.
And they end up coming out looking very dominant, the Space Station Gaming, and unfortunately they lost in the back end. Aquarius had a great game that time on the Sun Wukong, so did Venenu on the Freya, but JeffHindla is the one selected as the MVP, and I have to imagine that the monolith block onto the Mercury is what earned him this vote. Now, Taco, I don't know if he did it to catch the dash, but it was definitely to block him from dashing through.
It looked just so perfectly placed. Like, Jeff is not a human being.
No!
That is unreal. I can't even tell. It felt like he was inside of Homie's brain. Like, I know what you're going to do before you can even do it.
Well, initially, I thought it might have just been more like a deterrent. Like, don't you dare dash. I'm going to put this monolith here. But the ultimate was being charged up. He saw the sonic boom. I think the idea there was absolutely to get in the way and block that chain of events from Homie. I mean, Jeff, Big Brain Hindla, I mean, I don't know, man. He's getting it done.
Yep, that was epic.
He's like just that strong. Space Station Gaming able to constantly shut them down, but it was a team effort. I really think Aquarius, if we could somehow forget the highlight reel play that Jeff made, is one that you could point to. He had such an amazing game with that Wukong. They're going to have to make some adjustments here in game 2.